Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make my little ninja tiny tot. Here he is. Now, some of the things you're going to need. 3 colours, red, black and skin tone. I've also got one of these little wooden skewers, like a kebab stick, and I'm going to cut that in half and colour it with my silver Sharpie to put his swords on the back. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is firstly chop off the spiky end. I'm just going to sort of run my scissors around. I don't have any sort of really tough clippers or anything like that. So I'm running my scissors around, and then I'm just going to snap this gently like that and hope for the best as far as the edges are concerned. If I'm really concerned, I'm just going to sort of stab my workspace with the end of it to press those little ends down like so. So I'm just going to measure around where the center of this would be, which I think is going to be about here. I'm going to make a little mark, and again I'm going to run my scissors around, making an indent in the little wooden skewer. I mean, if you can cut through it, fantastic. I think I'll probably end up breaking my scissors. And again, I'm just going to gently break that little skewer, like so, and push on the end here so that I don't have any sharp, jaggedy edges. You might need to trim that off. Make sure you don't get any splinters. Like that. Now what you're going to do is colour those with your Sharpie. Let's get rid of these little pieces of wood. So with a Sharpie, all I'm going to do is colour these in and let them dry like this, while I actually make my little figure. Now you can colour it any colour you like. I'm using silver, you can use black I guess, or gold, or white, or red. I thought silver would look good as swords, but completely up to you what colour you want to make them. I found this Sharpie at, it was a metallic one, I found it at Office Max I think it was. Colour the end up, make sure you colour it all in. It's tricky, you might want to do it all the way up to the end and then let it dry before you turn it over, otherwise you'll get silver fingers. But there we go, this is what I'm going to do until it's all covered in Sharpie. And then I will get started on my little figure. I'll do the other one after. You don't have to sit here watching me colour these in. Okay, so there's my, nearly finished my first one. All I have to do is the little end that I'm holding. So that's what I'm going to do for my 2 little sticks. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put those to one side and we'll complete those in a minute. Let's get started with our little ninja. I'm going to use my loom to make my magic ring. You don't have to, you can use your hook if you're feeling confident that you can do your magic ring without the loom. Fabulous, really good. So it's going to be a magic ring of 6, so count out 6 little bands, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 to wrap around your peg of your loom, and just take it and wrap it once and twice, and then we will thread our 6 little loops through. If you've not done Loomigurumi before, and I'm talking double Dutch to you, please have a look at my Loomigurumi tips and tricks as a beginner's guide to Loomigurumi, and that will really help you. You'll understand how to do a magic ring. I go through it very slowly and precisely, zoomed in to make it very clear, and I explain how to do all the different stitches, which does make life easier, because if you've not done this before it can be rather confusing. So here's our little magic ring of 6. And let's take him off the loom, spread that around. So we've done our little magic ring. So now what we're going to do is our first round is going to be a round of increases, which means you're going to do 2 stitches in each of these 6, which will give you 12 stitches. So you need 12 bands. So let's take our bands for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12. With your first stitch, go through it, drag your band back and do your single crochet, and you're going to pop a stitch marker right on here so that you know where the beginning is. Go back through that first stitch and do a second single crochet in that spot, and you're going to do 2 in each of these stitches. As I said, you're going to increase it from 6 to 12. Our next round is going to be a single crochet followed by an increase. Alright, so we're going to have a single crochet in this first one, and then our next stitch is going to be, well, we're going to move our stitch marker to this one so we know that it's the beginning. Our next stitch is going to be an increase, so you have 2. 1 and 2, and you're going to do that pattern until we get back to the stitch marker. So a single and then an increase, and this is going to give us a total of 18 stitches. So if you want to put 18 bands out, that's fine. And we finish on an increase. Our next round is going to be 2 single crochets followed by an increase. That's going to give us 24. So again, if you want, you can count out your stitches. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 and 24. And again, we're going to go round. Let's do our first stitch. It's going to be a single crochet, move your stitch marker, and then you do another single crochet in the next stitch because we're doing 2 single crochets, and then we do our increase. So 1 and 2, and then the next stitch is a single crochet. The stitch after it is a single crochet and an increase. 2 in the same stitch. Oopsie. Let's not unravel all our work. Come on, come on, come on. I have a new mat that I'm working on, and it's a different feel. It's weird. Hopefully the colour is better for you guys to see what I'm doing. I guess I'll hear about it, won't I? Single, single, oops, and we finish on an increase, which is 2 in the same. So that is how far we always do our increasing for our little tiny tots, or for this version of them anyway. Now all we're doing is single crochets, rounds of single crochets, and we're going to change the features up a little bit. If you have a look here, we have our magic ring, we have our let me find something that I can point with for you. So here is our magic ring. Our next round is going to be the increase. We then have a round that is the single crochet and the increase, the double, the 2 single crochets and the increase. And then we have 1 and 2 rounds of single crochet only before we start going into the skin tones. So in total for the face, we're doing 8 rounds. So I'm going to put 8 little bands here, okay? But bear in mind that we're doing 2 black first, and then we're going to do some skin tone for 3. In 3 rounds, you're going to have some skin tone bands. So what I'm going to do is put the 3 like this. So I've got 3 at the top here, another 3, and then 2. And so this middle round here is where I'm going to do skin tones as well. So I'm going to push my hook through my first stitch and take 1 from here. And I know that this round is going to be all black bands, single crochet the entire way round. And then I will do another round of single crochet in black all the way round. So I will see you back after you have done 2 rounds of single crochet in black, and then we will start doing our little face. So I finished my 2 rounds, and now we're going to do 3 rounds. As you can see, we've got 1, 2 and 3 with skin tone. Well, a little bit of skin tone. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to go through my first stitch here with a black band, because I know it's going to be black. I'm going to move my stitch marker. Now for a stitch marker, you can use an S clip, a C clip, a stitch marker that you buy, a paper clip, a bobby clip, all sorts of different things work. Squidge this shut so that you have the back side of it mirror imaged to the front, and you're going to just pop your hook through where you think approximately the middle is. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a marker band here. And I really, with this little chap, I did 5 stitches across the front, but I think I needed 1 extra one so that his eyes would have looked a little bit more centered. So I'm going to do 6, okay? So this is 1. I'm just doing little tiny loose slip knots just so I know where to start and finish. So I'm going to do 3 that side, and then I'm going to do 3 this side. And that's just to remind me that this is where I'm going to be putting my skin tone bands for this particular round. Okay, if you've got a good memory, that's fine. I like to actually have the visual marker. So what we're going to do, we've done our first stitch in number 1. Let's do number 2. And I can actually take one from my little pile here, because we're on the first round with the skin tone involved as well. This is 3, so we've got, how many do we do? 1, 2, 3, what's that, 4? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, that's 4. 5, and we're just doing single crochet. 6 through both loops. 7, 8, 9. Now number 10 is going to be skin tone, so I've got it through here. I have to do a slip stitch because it's a changing of colour. So slip stitch like that, and then we do single crochet in our next 6, or in the 6. Oops, I'm going to do this twice to make sure you see what I'm doing. There we go. So the first skin tone is a slip stitch, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in single crochets. Then our first black one is a colour change, so again it's a slip stitch, and then you continue to the end of your round using black. Oh my goodness gracious, giddy umps. There we go. Okay, I'm back to my first stitch. Take one from here. Move my stitch marker. Now, the fun thing is that we can actually start one stitch prior, so we know where we're going to start. We don't have to mark it. So we're using black bands until we get up to our skin tone at the front of our work. So this is my last black stitch here. I'm going to go through with a skin tone. I have to do a slip stitch because it's a colour change. Then I have to miss this little slip stitch here and go into my next real stitch, which is right there. So I'm going to do my skin tone bands, single crochet, in my last one I'm still going to do a skin tone band like so. I'm not going to do the next one because this one pulls across, so I'm skipping the little slip stitch that we have here and going into my next black stitch. I have to do a slip stitch because I'm changing colour, and then I continue around using black until I get to my stitch marker. So I'm back at the beginning and pop my hook through, grab my little stitch from here, and I'm going to do the same as I did before. I'm going to do black until I get to the black stitch prior to the skin tone coloured. Here I go. I'm going to go in through my last black stitch with a skin tone and do a slip stitch. Skip the slip stitch here and go into my real stitch and do my skin tone bands until I get to my last skin tone. This is my last one here. So I'll go through it, do my my single crochet. I'm not going to do anything, I'm just going to keep going across in black now. I skip this little slip stitch and go in through my next black stitch, and I do a slip stitch for my colour change and continue in black. We don't need any more skin tone. All we need now are black bands until we get to the red sash across his middle. We have 3 more rounds of black to do. I'm going to do the first one with you just so that we can go through the colour changes together. So first stitch, grab my third to last band and going all the way around in black, but just be careful of the little slip stitches from where we have the colour change in the previous round. That's the tricky bit, and you can see quite clearly they sort of have a little angle to them. So here's my last black stitch that I did on that previous round, and then you can see the colour change from the black to the skin tone. So we're going to skip the slip stitch and go into our real stitch and do our single crochet. And again you see the colour change here, so this is our last skin tone, then there's the slip stitch, and here's our real stitch. So we're going to go and do black all the way till we get to our stitch marker, and then we're going to do 2 more rounds of just black. So I will meet you back when you have completed this round and 2 more, I've got the 2 little bands here, of single crochet in just black, and then we'll work on the neck together. So I've reached the end of my second round, and I'm going to do my first stitch and put my stitch marker on it. I know that my first stitch is going to be black, so that's what I'm going to do. There we are. Now, this is a good time to put our eyes in. Now you can either use the little toy safety eyes. Now I've got tiny little bitty ones for this. I have no idea what size they are, probably about 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 millimeters. So these are very small ones, and you can just pop them through like this and put the backings on, clip the backings on, and that's how you can have them if you would like to use these. If you want to use bands, the easiest way I found for them, and the way to make it look a little bit more ninja-ish, a little bit more Asian, is to use your bands and to just have them across this way. So if we're using bands, now what I might do, we always just go through these holes that we have in our work, and you don't actually need to. If you find that your spacing isn't right, and you want, even with these, to make it so that it's more even, you can actually, what I tend to do is split this little bit here where it's got the 2 bands on the outside. I split it, I go through, and I go through the little band like this. I'm going to zoom in so you can see very clearly what I'm doing. So if you have a look here, we've got the 2 little bands either side here, and then there's the 2 little bands behind it, and I split those, and you can go in there and come out on the other side. Come on, chappy, out of the way. Pull it through. And I would tie off with a skin tone because you're using skin tone in this spot as your main colour. Do a slip stitch and then just pull this back. And whichever way, it's probably easier to go through the hole that we actually have rather than the split bands. Pull it back and then you have the beautiful little eye like so. And again on the other side you're going to go through here, and let's work out exactly where we're going. We've got 1 and 2, so 1 and 2. You might want to go through this point here, so pull it through, and this point here, and we can tie off at the back here even. Doesn't really matter where, as long as we tie off. Make sure that we have them at the right length. So I'm just going to do it gently just so I can see if I have it the right length. And I think I do. I quite like that. So I'm going to tighten my slip knot, my little band there. And there we have our little eyes. Okay, and again, as I said, you don't have to have them like this. I'm going to go back out now. You don't have to have them like this. You can do your little eyes this way. You can even put one in as well if you wanted to put one in like that and make them look like a little hooded eye. Sort of looks like a little Lego man, doesn't he? Like this. It's completely up to you how you do them. Next, we're going to do the neck. And what we need to do is we need to decrease down into the neck. So as you saw before, we did an increase of two single crochets and an increase. That was our biggest one. So we're going to do 2 single crochets. This was number 1. This is number 2. And then a decrease, and we're going to do a decrease through these outer loops only. So the 2 next stitches, the stitch here and the stitch beside it, you're going through the outside loops only, pull through and do a regular crochet stitch, and then again a single crochet, a single crochet and a decrease. And this will reduce our work. Now after this round, so that's a single crochet, and we'll do a decrease. After this round we're going to do a single crochet only and a decrease, not 2 single crochets and a decrease. 1 single crochet. 1 and 2 and a decrease. 1, 2 and a decrease. 1, 2 and a decrease, and then we go a single crochet. Move your stitch marker to this one, followed by a decrease. Whoops, get on there you. Followed by a decrease. And then a single crochet and a decrease. Single crochet and a decrease. Single crochet and a decrease. single crochet, please ignore my phone, and a decrease, and then we're back to the beginning. Alright, now as you know, with our little tiny tots we're going to do an outside post loop. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, this, we've already worked in this stitch here, okay, so I'm going to go through from the back to the front. I'm going to take the stitch marker off so I can show you. Okay, so we know that this is our first stitch. We've worked in this stitch. We're going to go from the back to the front of this stitch, of the first stitch, and then through from the front to the back on the next stitch. And this is our post. And taking a single band, we're going to do our crochet stitch, and I'm going to put my stitch marker on there. And then again on the next one. Okay, so we're going to go through the next stitch and back through on the one after. Again, I have tutorials on how to do these post stitches. If you get a bit confused, have a look. Come back here, you. So have a look here. We're going to go through, we want this post next, so go through and out. And then this post next to it, you're going back through that one and out. So it's almost like you're going through the stitch that you just finished in, through the front and back out. Through the front and back out, because these are the little posts that are important. Around we go. Through these little posts until we get to this very last one. Push our way through if we can. Come here, you. There we are. And now we're going to go through our first stitch with a single crochet. You're not working in the post anymore. Single crochet and move your stitch marker. We're going to do in this next stitch, this second stitch, we're going to do an increase, which is 2 in the same stitch. So 1 and 2, and the next one is 1 and an increase, and a single, increase, single, and an increase, single, and an increase, make sure I go through both loops, single, and I finish on an increase. Like so. I'm going into my first stitch with a black band, and I'm going to move my stitch marker to it, like so. So that is his little neck, his little head and his little neck. Now for his body, we need 6 bands for rows, or rounds as I should call them. They're not really rows, are they? So I'm going to put 6 little bands there, and we're going to do 6 rounds of single crochet. Okay, no increases, just 6 rounds of single crochet, and I will catch you back when we've all done that. So I'm back. This is my last stitch. There's my stitch marker. Now I'm going to go through this first stitch, and I'm going to do a slip stitch like this. I'm not going to connect them with a knot. I'm going to chain 1, 2 and 3, and I'm going to take this stitch marker off and pop it on here until I'm ready to deal with this. Next, I want to do his arms. Now I have already done one arm. I'm going to do one with you, and then we're going to attach the 2 arms. You're going to make 2, I've already made 1. We're going to start with, again, use your loom or your hook, doesn't matter. We're needing to do a magic ring of 8. So twist it around twice, so you have 3 little loops, 8 bands, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And let's do your magic ring. And as I said, it doesn't matter if you use your loom or if you use your hook. Either way is good. And you will make 2 of these. Whoops. That's not what you need to hear from me, is it? Come back here. There we go. And then when we've done our little magic ring with 8 bands, which will give us 8 stitches, we're going to do 8 rounds of single crochet. So take that off, budge them around, count out 8 bands, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 8. Take 1 and do your first stitch. Now each stitch is just going to have 1 single crochet. You're not doing an increase for this, just 1 in each stitch. Okay, make sure you put your stitch marker on so you know where your first one is, and each stitch gets 1 single crochet, which means your stitch count does not change from 8. It will continue to be 8 until you get to the end. So around we go. I'll do a couple with you and then you can finish it off. We don't want this video to be too incredibly long. Going through my first stitch, I'm going to take one from this side. So I now know that I have 2, 4, 6 left to do. Move my stitch marker, and again single crochet in each. So when we have all done 8 rounds of single crochet, and you guys will do it twice, you should end up with 2 little arms, and I will meet you back and we will attach them. I'll show you how. It's nice and easy. So I'll catch you back when you've done 8 rounds. So I finished my little arm here. Now what I did, let me just show you before I zoomed off, didn't I? I finished on a slip stitch. So here we go. I finished on a slip stitch like this. Okay, push my hook through on one side and grab one little loop, and on the other side and grab a little loop. Pull a single band through, and again do a little slip stitch, but don't join them together. And then go through on the next spot and slip stitch. So you have 3 little slip stitches here, and this is what we're going to use as our anchor bands. Now as you can see, I've already anchored 1. I'm going to pinch these so I don't lose those little loops, okay? And I sort of work in line with the side of the face, okay? being where I would put it. So this is going to be number 1 here. Number 2 is this hole next to it, and number 3 is the hole in the neck next to it. So I'm going to poke my hook, and I find it easier going from this way forward rather than forward backwards. I'm going to poke my hook through here, and I'm going to pull through my first loop. Keeping that on my hook, I'm going to go in, up through the next one next to it, the next stitch, the next gap. Pull it through and up to the next one. Grab my last band and pull it through. So when I flip this over, I should have 3, there you go, 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to flip this inside out so I can just work on this. I'm going to take the middle one and put it over the left, and then put the right one over the left. So I've looped those all in. I'm going to find a couple of bands on the inside here. I'm going to take a single band, pull through and tie in a knot, nice and tight, so that the arm doesn't come out. Flip this over, and that is how I have done my little arms. Now you can move these around if they're in the wrong spot. Budget back one. It really is completely up to you. Now is a good time to actually stuff the head, because if we start doing the legs, you don't have much room to actually stuff the legs. So I'm going to grab my stuffing. I use the 100% polyfill. You can use anything though. You can use cotton wool, you can use tissues, toilet paper, old t-shirts or shirts cut up, material, pieces of scrap yarn, all that sort of thing works very well. One lady was using stuffing from a pillow. So this is my polyfill, and I'm going to stretch open the base here and pop this through. Now it is a trick on how to stuff these. You don't want to overstuff. If you overstuff, you stretch these bands and you will see these gaping holes as the bands are stretched, and your stuffing will show through and it looks nasty. In the same instance, you don't want to understuff and make it so that your head is not shaped properly. So you sort of, it's always better to put a little bit in, and you can add more as you need it. Here we go. And the other thing to be careful with the tiny tots as well is around the neck. You do have those holes, so make sure you don't overstuff it too far into the neck. You sort of want the neck area to be free and the stuffing to be in the head part, like this. Okay, and we're going to stuff the little body after we've done his legs. We're not going to worry about stuffing the arms. I actually think they look quite cute unstuffed. So get rid of my stuffing, and we will continue on. Now we're going to finish some of his legs, and as you see, we have our little chain here. Now with our chain, we want to make sure that if we hold this out, that the chains are lined up, because we're going to pinch this and squidge this part shut so that we can work out where the opposite side is. For me, it's going to be about here, and just visually work it out. You sort of end up with about 8 or 9 stitches each side. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's in the 9th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's in the 9th. So this is about right for me. Now, taking your stitch marker off, you've got your last little chain here. You're going to take one side of it. Okay, I'm going to make sure we're in focus. One side goes through the stitch. The other side, if you make sure that you don't let it slide off, is going to be reattached here. Okay, this is going to be your little slip stitch, like so. And then we work on one side first. So this is going to be our first stitch here. We're working on this side of the leg first, and we're going to do 3 rounds. All right, so I'm going to take my first band, go through the first stitch here and do my slip stitch, and I'm going to put my stitch marker on that so that I know that this is my beginning and my end. And I'm going to do a single crochet in each stitch. 1, 2, but we're just working on this side. Okay, so now when we get into here, as you can see, you've got this split band. Okay, you've got one side that comes here, one side that goes here. Go through these 2 little loops here. Okay, and then we work on the chain that we made, and you're just going to work on the 2 sides, the loops, the 2 loops. You've got 4 loops. You're going to work on the 2 loops that are closest to the side of leg you're working on. So for me, it's the right side, and you do a single crochet, and then go to the next chain, and again the 2 loops that are on the right side, and a single crochet. We're back to our first stitch. Okay, so push your hook through and grab one from here, and single crochet back to the beginning. So move your stitch marker, and around we go again for our second round, and then we have another round after this. So this is my second round. Make sure you're just going through the stitches on the right side of the leg. Back to the beginning again, go through and use your last stitch from here. This is our third round. Move your stitch marker, and around we go for our third round. So that's my elbow cracking on my craft mat. Sounds rather awful. Oopsie. And we are nearly back to the beginning. If I don't let everything unravel first. There we go. And this is my first stitch, so I'm going to do a single crochet, and I will move my stitch marker to this first stitch here, because we will stuff and then we will close off our little feet. Okay, so that's one. Now we need to go into this area here to do our second leg. So I'm going to go through the middle. If you see, you can see here, you have this band. Let me see if I can get it for you so you can see very clearly. We have this little band here, right there. We went through the other side. This is the other one that we can go through. So I'm going to go through the one next to it, which is just here, but pick your spot and do like a little slip stitch, and then in the next stitch you'll do a slip stitch. Now you should actually put a stitch marker there to indicate that was your first stitch. Okay, and we will go around, and again we're doing 3, so this is my first round. So I put 2 bands the other side to know that I have 2 more to do. Oops, come here you little tricky band, and make sure that you can clearly see your stitches. If you squidge it down like this, you can see that we went through this one, so we have to go through the 2 here, I think. it's going to leave a big gap. 1 second. Oh, that's because this is the stitch we go through. Duh. There we go. There's me telling you to be careful. Then we go through this stitch here. I was trying to go through a stitch that didn't even exist. There we go. That's the first one on the chain. Oops, I peeled that off. And then these two. And then these two. And back to the beginning. I'm going to go through my first stitch, take one from this side, single crochet and move my stitch marker. Let's lock it in place so I don't do that again. And around we go again, single crochet. Oops. First stitch again, use your last round marker, move your stitch marker, and around we go again. Oh my goodness, let me take that one out and start right from fresh. There we go. And this is my last stitch. This is the first stitch I'm going to go through with a single crochet, and I'm going to move my stitch marker to it. So now at this stage, this is where we want to stuff. We want to stuff the little body. So I'm going to stretch the little legs out just a little bit so I have some room, and I'm going to grab my stuffing and we will stuff him. Again, it's the old adage of don't stuff too much. You want enough for his belly and just a little bit for his legs, but don't stuff too much. So let's pop this in. So that's in his belly area. A little bit for each leg. So that's sort of one leg where you can see that it's just below the last round that you did. You just sort of want it just below. And let's do this leg here. Again, you can always take some out. See how even with this much stuffing, do you see how it's stretched these little bands? hopefully, what I'm hoping is that once my feet are done, I can pull some of this stuffing up to the feet, but I don't want to stuff it too much near the feet, otherwise it's difficult to work with. Alright, get rid of the stuffing. And let's go back through here. Now we're going to work on the inside post. Alright, so I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. Make sure we're in focus. You're going to go in through the front of the stitch and come back through the back of the next stitch. And this is the post that we're talking about. And you do a single crochet in it. Like this. And then in through the front, out through the back. In through the front, out through the back. So you're not actually working in the stitch, you're working in the little post between the stitches. I hope you can see nice and clearly what I'm doing. In through the front, out through the back. In through the front, out through the back. In through the front, out through the back. And this is how we're going to close off our little feet. Once you get back to the beginning, you can take your stitch marker off, because all we're going to be doing are decreases. So make sure that you're in the next stitch, which is here, and you're going through both loops of the decrease, because otherwise I feel that you sort of leave a bit of a gap when you do the hidden decrease. I don't think it's as effective when you're doing your actual last bit of tying off. So through both loops on each stitch. And the next one, you sort of have to pull them a bit, but that's okay. They're bands, they stretch back or unstretch. And then this is going to be my last one. And do a tie off. Pull tight. Now I'm going to stretch that out just a little bit, and then I'm going to push my hook up the back side here, out through the centre of the foot, grab that tie-off band and pull it back. Careful that you don't pull it so far out that you're pulling the stuffing, and then what you do, you see, is you push your hook in and you sort of rearrange the stuffing a little bit and pull the stuffing up to the end of the foot. I'm going to zoom back out again. Let's see if I can do the other one. Getting a bit of a light flare here, and so I think I need to adjust the angle of my lamp so that it doesn't blind us all. So through the front of your stitch and out through the back, and grab the post. and stitch marker off, because we're just going to be doing decreases now to tie this off. Again. And my last one. And tie off nice and tight, not too tight that you break it. Stretch out, and again go through the back here, up through the center, grab that tie off band and pull it back in so that it's inside. If you do pull it so far that you get some of your stuffing popping out, just pop it back in with the back of your hook. Usually that works, or just get rid of the excess fluffy bits. And again, you want to make sure that you can push your hook inside the foot and just move a little bit of this stuffing around so that it fills up this little foot area. I've got a band that is a bit saggy there. I'm going to go and grab that. Could be my tie-off band, I'm not sure. But I'm going to hide it inside my work. There we go. Tie that in. So here is my little ninja. Now the difference is I have my little swords ready, but I don't have my little red band to go around, so that's what I'm going to do next. And so I'm going to just grab a little portion here, and it's going to be in line with sort of where I've started the leg, so about here. Alright, I'm going to put my hook through, and I'm going to grab a red band and pull it through, and I'm going to chain. I'm going to turn this around actually and chain from the front like this, and we're going to chain. We're going to chain enough to get up to his shoulder on the opposite side. And the reason I've anchored it to his side is so that it doesn't sort of get lost and fall around and whatnot. Stays in place. How many have I done? That's the anchor, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's do 10. Let's see how far we are now. Remember, this is going up to this shoulder over here. It can be a bit stretched, so I think we'll do like 2 more. 1 and 2, so that's 12, and then we start coming back down. Alright, so 13. We don't really need to anchor it on the shoulder because the arm is going to. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's see how we're doing here. So that's 20 to go around like that. So now what I'm going to do is go through the 2 loops closest to me here, and I'm going to do a slip stitch, so through those 2 and join those on like so, and one over the other. And now what I'm going to do is go around here. I'm going to go in the outer, so I'm counting this as the outer and this is the inner, the outer 2 loops, and I'm going to do single crochet like this. Okay, just 1 in each. And you don't have to do the single crochet. I like to, so it doesn't just look like a single chain going around. I think it looks a little nicer. It has a little bit more detail to it. You want to make sure that you keep it in line though. You don't sort of skip, you don't twist it by mistake and go in the wrong side of the stitch. So as you can see, I'm going through, keeping in line. Carefully does it. Make sure I don't twist this. And back to the beginning, I'm going to go through and do a slip stitch and tie off nice and tight. Now I could have done that with black, but I don't think it really matters. It's just going to be hidden inside the body, but if you prefer to do that in black, that's completely fine too. And poke the end in so you can't see it, so it's hidden in the stuffing. So that's his little red band. And then with my little skewers, I'm just going to go from one shoulder, and I'm going to try not to go through all the stuffing. I'm going to try and keep it as close to the surface as I can, because trying to push through stuffing can be a bit bad. And I'm going to go this side of the band and come out the same spot on the other leg, maybe here, like so. And you can change these around yourself however you like them, really, can't you? There we go. Excess little pieces of fluff, stuff them back in. There, whoopsie, is our little ninja. There he is. I hope you like him. I think he's rather cute. I've already had dibs on giving this one away to a little friend. So there's our little ninjas. Have fun making. Please share. I can't wait to see some. Take care. Bye.